Alright, let's take a look at this problem. A football stadium has three concession areas located in the south, north, and west stands. The top selling items are peanuts, hot dogs, and soda. Sales for one day are recorded in the first matrix below, and the prices in dollars of the three items are given in the second matrix. So, what would be the total sales of the three top selling items per stand? So in the first matrix, we have the south stand, north stand, and west stand. Then the number of peanuts, hot dogs, and sodas sold. Well, here is the selling price of the peanuts, hot dogs, and sodas. So if we would like to know how much each stand would earn, we need to multiply the price of the peanuts to how many peanuts were sold, right? Price of hot dogs to how many hot dogs were sold, price of sodas to how many sodas were sold. Let's do that. So for the south stand, we would need to multiply 120 by 2. 120 by 2. Then we will add, because that's the south stand, the 250 multiplied by 3. And this one, the 305 multiplied by 2.75. And this will actually give us around 1,828.75. We will do the same for the north stand and the west stand later on. So for the north, let's use a different color. We're going to have 207 times 2 plus 140 times 3 plus 409 plus 2 times 2.75. This will then give us 1956.25. Not 25, 75 if I am not mistaken. Wait a moment. Alright, it's supposed to be 75. While for the third one, which is for the west stand, we're going to have 29 times 2 plus 120 times 3 and 190 times 2.75, which will give us a total of 940.50. So, this is telling us that the south will have a total sales of 1,828.75, 1,956.75, and 940.50. Since we had matrices, let's express that in matrix form. So the first matrix, we actually had 120, 250, 305, 207, 140, 419, 29, 120, 190. Then we compared it, or we had to multiply rather $2, $3, and 2.75, resulting to the total sales of 1,828.75, 1,956.75, and 940.50. Now, the process of what we just did, when we combined the one of the north and the south, the stands rather, south, north, and west, we had to multiply to the entries of the selling price. This entire process actually shows how we can multiply two matrices together. Now, we define matrix multiplication as such. If A is an M by N matrix and B is an N by P matrix, then the product AB is an M by P matrix. AB is equal to Cij, that's the entry, where Cij, that specific entry, is the sum of the products of the entries. And it's better if we're going to illustrate this one. But before we do, let's go back to the first part of the definition. As you can see, A and B are not of the same size. However, we have to note that the number of columns of A should be the same as the number of rows of B. If that will not happen, then we cannot have the product. And as you can see, the product will have the number of rows of A and the number of columns of B. Let's have a specific example. We're asked to find the product of AB, where A is given by this matrix and B is given by this matrix. Now, we know that A is a 3 by 2 matrix and B is a 2 by 2 matrix. So, the number of columns of the first matrix is equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. Hence, we can multiply the two together. And we're going to expect that AB will have the size of a 3 by 2 matrix. So, AB will be equal to our matrices. I'm just rewriting them so they can be closer together. Let's fix that. There you go. Well, this is -3, -4, 2, and 1. So, when we multiply our matrices, what we would need to do are the following. So, the first entry of the product matrix would be the sum when I multiply this, the -1 and the -3, -1 times -3, then I add it to 3 times -4. So the first entry is the sum of the products of the entries of the first row and the first column. While the second entry, this entry here on the first row, second column, would be the sums of the products of the first row and the second column. So that means this entry here would be, I'll box it, -1 times 2 plus 3 times 1. And that process follows. For the entry in row 2 column 1, we would have to multiply 4 to -3, then add it to -2 times -4, -2 times -4, while the entry in row 2 column 2 would be 4 times 2 plus -2 times 1. Similarly, the entries in the third row, first column would be, there you go, 5 times 3 plus 0 times -4. While here in row 3, column 2, we'll have 5 times 2 plus 0 times 1. So again, to get each entry of the product matrix, you would have to multiply the entries row per column, then add them. So for the first column, for the first row, first column entry, you have to multiply the first row and the first column, then add them all together. So now that we have our product, let's simplify this one here, and we are going to have simply the following matrix: -9, 1, -4, 6, -15, 10. So this is an example of matrix multiplication.